Steve, and today I'm going to be talking to you about making this hill. It's a step tool which fits in the corner of your battlefield, it opens up, and inside you can keep a dinosaur. Rawr! But you can put whatever you like in there. Okay, let's have a quick run through of the materials we're going to use today. We're going to use 6mm MDF for the base and 12mm MDF for the sides of the hill and the sides of the box. The bulk of the hill itself, we're going to use this insulating foam. You want to use this stuff, it's nice, thick, strong insulating foam. You don't want to be using expanded polystyrene that you get in packet foam. Expanded polystyrene is rubbish, look at it. You make me angry, expanded polystyrene. We've got some nice strong wood glue to hold it all together, and we're going to chap some nails in as well just to make it strong. Then we cover it with polyfiller and paint it. I'm going to use household emulsion, just matte brown paint from the DIY shop, and then I'm going to use my acrylics for the details. To make some of those details I'm going to use just bark off a tree. It's bark, it's off a tree, it's beautiful. And then we're going to coat it all in static grass, holding that on with PVA glue. Right, let's take a look at the tools. You've got a pencil and a ruler, that's for marking and measuring stuff. We've got a big knife, that's for cutting your insulating foam. You can use a hot knife or a hot wire cutter if you want, but I prefer to just use a straight edged, sharp kitchen knife. That allows you to make nice clean cuts without any of those plasticky stringy bits. Anyway, we've got a jigsaw with wood cutting blade and sandpaper, coarse and fine. We've also got some paintbrushes here for this. I would say bigger is better paintbrush wise. And we've got a dust mask just for whenever we're making dust, when we're sanding or when we're jigsawing. Let's take a look at the base of the hill drawn on the 6mm MDF. This line here is where I'm going to cut out with the jigsaw. I'm going to cut that at a 45-degree angle, and it's a nice uneven line, so it'll create a nice natural looking edge to the base of the board. This area here is where the box is going to be. It's 31cm by 24, and that's going to make it slightly bigger than A4, so you'll be able to put rule books, codexes, whatever you want in there. The sides of the box are going to be 12cm high. That's just to allow me to stack 2 layers of foam, and it'll be flush with the top. So each layer of foam that I'm using is 6cm thick, so for 2 layers I need 12cm in height. Your foam might be a different thickness, so just adjust measurements to whatever you're using. You know, you might want to do 3 layers, you might want to make it even bigger, you might want to make it smaller, whatever you want to do, just adjust your measurements to that. The outside edge of the hill goes all the way to the edge of the board. It's a great big long piece here. It's going to go all the way to the edge of the board, like so. So again, you've got your 24cm with a flat top, then we've got slope, and then at 6cm height, that's 1 sheet insulating foam for me. Whatever it is for you, you make it whatever it is. And then there's slope down. We want a nice area here for models to stand on, and we don't want these slopes to be too steep, because we want to be able to stand our models on them without them falling over. We're going to have large parts of the battlefield which we can't use. What else have we got? We've got, move this over, this area here. I'm going to cut this out, same again, 45-degree angle, and this is going to make the lid of the box. The dotted line here shows where the edge of the box comes to underneath, so this is where the area that I want to be covering up with the lid, and then I've just done a rough line, and what I'll do is I'll use the lid to guide me when I'm making the hill with it. Okay, so here I have the MDF, it's all cut out and stuck together. When you cut out your MDF, remember and put a 45-degree angle on the baseboard, and remember to wear your dust mask. Then get all your pieces together and make sure they all fit together the way you want them to fit. If they don't fit exactly, get a little bit of sandpaper on them and give them a little rub there. Once you've done that, get your glue, your hot glue gun, or your strong wood glue, and stick it together. Wait till it dries, and then tap some nails in. The nails are kind of optional. They're just a wee bit extra reinforcement. I want it to be extra strong, so I've tapped some nails in here and here. A couple on the side, a couple underneath, just to make sure it's really strong, you know. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Moving on. Foam. With the foam, you're going to be starting off with quite large sheets. They're 2 foot by 4 foot to start with, so you're going to want to break that down into smaller, more manageable pieces. And here's how I do it. Basically, I get my knife, my foam, I mark a line where I want to cut it, I run my knife down there, like that, maybe twice. Easy. Try not to cut yourself doing that. Then I put it against a table edge, and then just apply a bit of pressure. And it snaps quite clean. You see it's not what you'd call a perfect cut, but it's good enough for our needs. What we're doing here is just need rough shapes, rough building blocks to start making the hill with. Okay, let's do that. Looks like our hill's starting to take shape. We've got our insulating foam building blocks all in place. There's a few gaps, but don't worry about that. We're going to fill that with polyfill later. What I've done is I've drawn some guidelines here, just to keep me right when I'm cutting the slopes on the hill. This one on the top is just where the lid's going to go. Just like that. Just draw around it with my black marker. And then I've got another one where the 2 sheets of insulating foam meet. And then I've got lines along the edges where the foam meets the MDF. I've given myself an area here where I want to keep flat, just to place models on, because that's kind of the point. When you're doing that, just bear in mind what sort of models you intend to be using. If you're going to be playing Warhammer with great big movement trays, you may want a larger area. If you're playing some sort of skirmish system like War Machine, or if you're playing 40k or something like that, you can afford to have smaller areas, or even more levels if you want. I'm trying to keep this quite simple. What I was thinking of doing was maybe adding in another a sort of spur of rock sticking out here, maybe like that. I'll make this smaller, it'll be fine. And like I was saying, I was playing Warhammer, I'd want to be able to move troops up this side of it. So yeah, that looks about right. What do you think, horde unit maybe? Doubled up? Is that too much? Yeah, I'll see what it comes out like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim down these blocks and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. This is the progress so far. I've been cutting away at the sides of the building blocks with my sharp knife and just generally making it hill shaped. I've been trying not to encroach on my areas I was wanting to keep flat, but on this side I've had to cut in a little bit just to make my slopes a little less steep. What I've been doing just to check, I've got a model to, I mean that's a plastic wood elf, it's a high elf, sorry, high elf. Just to make sure that, you know, the models aren't going to fall over on their way up the hill. Good to check on the way down the hill as well. It maybe it's got a little bit of wobble there. It's not perfect, but I think it's workable, you know. Just to be sure, I've got the old Kador Warjack. This guy is entirely made of metal, and he stands reasonably well on the slopes. So if he's standing there, I'm happy enough that most should be okay. So this area here is going to be sloped hill. Coming round, we have the rocky spur that's going to be sticking out here. This area is going to be kind of sheer cliff. And this area here is more slope, which is built up so you can go up to the side of the cliff, hopefully, once it all works out. And then this bit here, I've not quite finished carving out yet. I was going to use this just to show you how I've been carving it, although it's pretty simple. So this is this part of the hill here, you know what that is. Put it on a solid surface. The table's not as solid as it should be, but it's solid enough for this. And you get your big knife, and what you want to do is you find your line you want to follow. This is this line here. Best to do it this way, I think. And you want to just take thin slices of foam off at a time, using a kind of a gentle sawing motion. Just let the blade of the knife do the work. So I'll just give you a demonstration. It's going to make a bit of noise, so I'll not bother trying to speak over the top of it. It makes a bit of a squeaking noise. So take a thin slice and then just saw down. And then little bits come off like this, and you just saw again. And just take little slices off, a little bit at a time. Basically, oh, going a bit deep there, but that's okay, not a problem. And basically the end result is you end up whittling yourself a hill. Our glue's dried now, and really it's just a case of giving it a quick rub down with sandpaper wherever the foam meets the wood, and each block of foam meets the next piece of foam, just so there's a nice smooth transition between the two. It'll just make our job easier when we come to putting the polyfill on. We've got some pretty big holes between the two pieces of foam that meet in some places, and we're just going to patch them up with a little bit of foam there like that. So all that needs is a little bit of glue. I'll do that right now. A little bit of glue, squeeze that in, a little spot, and then push it in place. What I'm going to go on and talk about now is the detail on this side here where we're going to make our cliff face. All I'm going to do is get some bark. This is the bark I showed you earlier. No, I got this off just off a tree that I found lying around. You know, there's trees fall down. Have a look for them. They have bark on them, and it comes off quite easily. So this one actually still has some spider eggs in the back. I've made some spider homes, so maybe not use that one. What I want to do is I want to get my piece of bark to roughly the right size. So I'm going to line it up and then basically just snap it where I want to make the line to. So I'm just going to snap that there. Snapped. So it's very rough and ready. I'll maybe go for that way around for that piece. It's going to be roughly there. Going to need that one there. That fits together quite nice. You can see it's going to be a bit rough, but it's okay. Don't worry, it all comes together. And then a little piece there, we just snap the top of there. So you can see that it's going to be that face there, and that little bit that I've cut out, snapped out, sorry, will fit that gap quite nicely. So you can see that's roughly how it's going to go. And what I want to do is to make that fit better, I'm going to make this bottom edge of each piece of bark flat and flush with the bottom, well, the top of the hill. So to do that, I'm just going to take my sandpaper like so and just rub the bark on the sandpaper. Going to finish off doing this. You can see it's nice. See, this bit's maybe a bit big for it. I'll maybe save that for one of the bottom pieces. We'll see if we get another piece that'll fit there. There's a bit there. It's maybe more appropriate in size. See, a snap. Yeah, I like that there. So just snap it and check it and do this. And of course you don't have to cover every single available bit of foam in bark. You can have areas in between which have smooth texture. And so that's where they're going to go. I'll save this bit for later. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just snap them again a little bit. I want them to be beneath the level of the top of the hill in height. So I'll just do that. Along and along, and along and along. Yeah, looks alright. Maybe bring this one more of an angle. Just snap, snap, snap. Give it a little snap there. Beautiful. Right, it all falls off. And then what I'll do is I'll get the glue and I'll stick it on. You see the bark, because it comes off a tree, it's got a bit of a curve. What we're going to do is we're going to bend it a little and straighten it out as we glue it, just to put a little pressure on it, and the glue will hopefully hold it in place. And it'll be nice and strong and it's not going to fall to pieces. So I'm just going to glue this on and then I'll get right back to you. Okay, I got a little carried away, I've stuck it all on, but it was good fun and it's, yeah, I think it looks alright. You'll notice that in some areas here, yeah, I've left the post down and shown through. Don't worry about that, there's just going to be nice deep areas in the cliff face, nice big dark recesses. It'll just add extra depth to the finished article. Basically it's just like putting together a kind of crazy jigsaw where you're allowed to adjust the pieces. So just snap and sand away until you're happy, and then when you are happy, stick it down with some glue, and now it's just a case of letting the glue dry before we go on to the next step, which is polyfiller.